Hello, everyone, and welcome back to No Cap Space Emergency Show. Look, man, we were over here preparing, like, okay, hey, what time are we going to go live tonight? Because you know we're going live every single day of games for the March Madness tournament. And then, Rebecca Lobo Bomb! It's official.
Low bomb.
The Low Bomb!
The Low Bomb. The Rebecca Low Bomb.
Paige Bueckers is officially declaring for the WNBA draft. Again, I think we all, like, there had been smoke about different aspects of this, whether it be, is she just not going to declare, as Lobo kind of, brings up here, like playing unrivaled and then declaring 26. Is she going to declare and seemingly kind of force her way out of Dallas? Technically, that part could still happen, but, like, I feel like this wouldn't be the way it was going down if that was the case. But here's what we do know, is that Paige Bueckers is headed officially to the WNBA, as reported by ESPN's Rebecca Lobo. I mean, Andrew, like, again, like, this is kind of like, I feel like more assumed than not, but, like, now that it's official, like, I mean, you're on the clock, Dallas Wings.
Yeah. I think any fan of Paige Bueckers or the Dallas Wings has to be so happy that this saga's over. Because I think for reasonable folks and people that have been kind of in the women's basketball space for a long time, it's totally fair to look at the Dallas Wings and be like, do they really have it in terms of being able to handle a superstar of that magnitude and treat her well? It was a fair question to ask.
Yeah.
However, if you have looked at the Dallas Wings' moves, with Kurt Miller, with Chris Koklanis, what they decided to do in free agency, this new practice facility that is going to be coming online for them, this new stadium that's going to be in downtown Dallas. All of the moves suggest, yes, they're ready for this. They are ready to meet the moment of having somebody like Paige Bueckers come to the league and be on their team. So for them, I'm sure it's probably just been such a pain in the ass that, this story started to circulate about a month or two ago, and we're in the end of February, and the draft, is not that far away. And
3 weeks or something like that?
Something like that, like 3-4 weeks. And this was still something that was going around in certain circles. So vindication for the Wings fans and the Paige fans that said this is a non-story from the jump. Dallas is officially on the clock. This is really, it's a game changer for them. Just to have the certainty of knowing she's going to be there makes a world of difference to how you scout and handle and look at moving different picks or different players to trade up for things, how you're going to build this team. All of it now locks into place. There is no uncertainty, even 1% anymore. I'm fascinated that this seems to have come out in a production meeting as opposed to a press conference. So for those that don't, know the background stuff that happens on the way into games from a media standpoint, the broadcast team, so in this case, like Ryan Rucco, Rebecca Lobo, and I don't know who their sideline person is, but whoever's run sideline for them, is in a room. Probably it'll be Holly Rowe, but they all sit in a room and they talk to the coaches and the players and get some interesting nuggets and insights that allow them to not have to sit in the press conference to get those questions, and they get dedicated time to ask everything that they feel is important to the game. And those are the little anecdotes that you hear during a broadcast. Since it is Rebecca Lobo pushing this out, I feel fairly confident that she's confirmed to the broadcast team in those background meetings that she was going to the WNBA draft. And I think it's interesting that it came out there as opposed to a big like Shams Charania or Ramona Shelburne or like a big ESPN personality that usually it seems like we've been getting as of late. But maybe because the story felt so unimportant to those major newsbreakers and they didn't want to give oxygen to the one reporter who had been propagating this story from the jump, they just let Lobo kind of subtweet it.
A very like you just kind of get it out, like. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'll tell you what it kind of reminds me of a little bit. It's kind of how we saw Caitlin last year, where she, put it out like ahead of postseason play. And obviously, like, we're deep into postseason play at this point, but it kind of gives me like that same vibe of like, look, I don't want questions about it. Like, I don't want, like, let's just get this out. Like, let's get this out of the way. I'm going. You don't have to ask me about it any further. let's finish this and let's go in with the national championship. It kind of gives me like that same vibe again, a little bit different timing of it because like this now happens into the tournament. While Caitlin, I think, was after the Big Ten, or it was either before or after it was definitely before March Madness when
yes, it was.
But that's kind of like the same vibe to me, and that's even more so like when you think about like kind of like minimalizing this and like like this is just what's happening. Going through Lobo, who's not very she's not like inactive on Twitter. But she doesn't break news.
No, but she dropped from the Raptors literally,
bro. This isn't Alexa. This like you have all the you have like, your main like women's basketball ESPN reporters. You have like the Shams, like as you mentioned, like the Ramonas that'll come and kind of swoop in. And especially Shams, who has been swooping in for a whole bunch of stuff, like just bits and pieces over the past calendar year, really, since he's been at ESPN. But no, I mean, this is so exciting for Dallas. I mean, like obviously, I mean, like it goes. It's easy just to say, and like it's like a duh moment, like this is massive for the franchise. But like, no, this is massive for like this is. I mean, we've seen how these rookies have come in just with the motion with Caitlin, with Angel. I mean, even like Kate Martin, like it's kind of like the motion.
Yeah, like Rakia Jackson has some buzz
Cameron
in
Brink.
LA, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Like these are like genuinely franchise like changers in that way of what you can now invest back in. And like as you've already mentioned, Dallas is already kind of starting to do that. This changes everything even more so now. Like when because I mean Dallas is already selling out season tickets and like just on the basis of the potential,
the possibility.
Yes, and so now she's here. Like that just completely changes everything. I'm interested from I guess the basketball standpoint of this a little bit to dive into. I know we've talked about it before and everything, but like now that like we're officially here. Paige with Arike is very fun to me. Like I really like that combo, and I think, I mean, it'll be interesting to see like from I mean what we just saw from Caitlin and Angel. That is a very high standard to put on rookies going forward, frankly.
Yes.
And so like, but at the same time, like when you think about the motion, the star power, like Paige is in that echelon. So like if anyone's gonna get that standard put on them, it's Paige. And so I'm interested in how that kind of goes forward and how Dallas handles that and just the fit just from like day one of her being on a WNBA court, what that looks like with her and Dallas. Just any general thoughts about that?
Well, she's a very different type of superstar in terms of the motion she carries, right? Like Caitlin Clark is like TV box office on the floor. Paige is in a slightly different way, but so much of her box office is what she's able to do off the floor as a personality. The way I could probably compare this is like, and this is not in terms of their play style, but it's more of like how they seem to operate with from basketball to business to just like letting people into their lives on social media. Caitlin's got a little more Michael Jordan-ishness to it, where like everything that's off the floor is very business. You still get these very small snippets where like you see how much personality she has. It feels a little how Jordan kind of handled the media in that respect. Paige to me is a lot more like LeBron in that like LeBron lets you in a lot. And over the years has done so in a way that is very unlike many superstars in sports right now. He's a genuinely funny dude. I don't think we give LeBron enough credit for just being
hilarious.
He's hilarious,
so
unintentionally or otherwise.
Yeah.
And there's still like he's still doing business things, but I think people are drawn to LeBron James not just as a basketball player, but to LeBron the personality, right? And so I think whereas Caitlin might be kind of in this certain Jordan-esque echelon where she's almost in a different tier of human, right? Like it's almost like
it's like aura versus availability almost.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
It's,
and that's why I think there's going to be so much attention and hype foisted on her. Is I think there's a fundamental misunderstanding between like Caitlin Clark fans and Paige Bueckers fans about what motion is and how they define it. Caitlin has unique motion. Paige has unique motion. And both of those things are good for the league in general. But I think we're going to see a lot of the expectation, maybe not to the same degree and maybe not as racially charged as it was between Caitlyn and Angel this past year. But Paige is going to come in with a mountain of expectations, and I think a lot of it is because of the audience she carries. This is, from a basketball fit standpoint, going to be great. I mean, not only do you have a good team around her, you have that second scorer that has established themselves as a guard in this league who can take some of the energy off of Paige, and is already a handful even when you're throwing double teams at her, right? Indiana last year, they could throw the house at Caitlyn, and eventually what started to happen was you saw Kelsey Mitchell, build up and have her best season because she was open so often. You would see Aaliyah Boston be a little bit better once her and Caitlyn, they started to figure out how to play off one another. Paige with Arike, to me, allows for Paige to not get blitzed or not get as many doubles or even triples, because you literally can't let Arike just hang out, because she'll put 40 on your head even when she's being guarded in her face. And it might be, 40 points on 32 shots, right? But like with Paige, who's an elite passer with elite vision and is going to command some of the defense's attention, maybe you see a more efficient version of
I'm right there with you. I'm intrigued. Like, or even if it's like a lesser volume of points being put on the board by Arike, but more collective between Paige and Arike that gets it done in a better winning basketball, quote unquote, fashion. I think is what we might end up seeing. So yeah, I mean, look, again, this was news that we assumed was coming, but with the amount of smoke, I think there was reason to worry for fire. And now, I think we could pretty confidently say, until further notice, that fire's been put out, and Paige Bueckers seemingly is on her way to Dallas. And to me, I'm very excited. Like that works very well. It's a very fun team to go and join right now, which I love.
Not only that, I think the grad transfer years and people coming back does have the potential to rob us thinking about like how ESPN and like big media companies handle this stuff from, a national view, and how much, the casual appeal drives what you put on those shows, right? I feel like within basketball and women's basketball in particular, you have to have a healthy churn in college ball. Like every 3 years, you get a new, like a person comes and goes, or every 4 years a person comes and goes, which allows you to bring the next generation of stars up. And you almost, because you have that progression, you're almost conditioned to be like, okay, next year is Juju and Hannah's year, and Tanaya Latson's year, and Camille Pierre's and Michaela Blake's year. Like Paige and them are going up, and now it's time for the Malaysia Fulwileys or the.
It's quite literally graduation. Like it is, like it is quite literally like along with the degree you are, and especially now it works even better with the eyes on the W and like how the star power, like it's maintained momentum going into the W after this past season. It makes it even better now.
The hardest thing the league has always had is exactly what you just said, is being able to translate fandom from college and bring it into the W. And I've had ex-WNBA like league office people, high level league office people tell me that one of the things the league has tended to do in the past is look at the next generation of stars in 1 year increments. And it's why you would see like Asia comes in, and then whoever the 2017 person is, I think it was Kelsey, like Kelsey's now the next one, right? Sabrina comes in 20, right? And then she's the next one. And they looked for one in 21 and didn't, because the draft class wasn't very good. But then you start to, then it's Aaliyah Boston's league, right? And now it's Caitlin Clark's league. And what has started to happen is generational and years long fandom is finally started to build within these kids. And now it isn't just Paige goes to the W and now all eyes are on Paige to save it. Now it's Paige comes in and meets all of these other
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
which then also trickles down the other way to college, because it makes you as a pro fan look at the college ranks and go, okay, who's going to be the next one to join all of these people?
Yeah, for
right.
sure.
And so I think just allowing that progression to go organically, instead of maybe Paige stays for another year at UConn or isn't even in basketball, and we lose like the forward momentum of that because we got to find somebody to fill that hole for a year. We don't have to do that. Like we now have our next superstar that comes in, and it all just keeps building, man. I mean, the snowball gets bigger until it turns into an avalanche, and this is a good thing for the W, even if maybe it was this way the entire time and all of us panicked for nothing. But that's the news cycle.
Yeah, it is. It is. But no, it's very exciting. Obviously, Paige leading the way this class. I mean, even if you look at the next 2-3 years, I mean, like you literally have bona fide superstar motion caliber players, whether it be Flauge and Lauren Betts. Then you go into Hannah and Juju and Madison Booker and I mean, it's Tanai Latson. I mean, there's so many names. So, like, to your point, I'm glad Paige comes out this year and doesn't stop that cycle. And so we can kind of space it out, and we really truly have, you know, right now known at least the next 3 years. I mean, you already got Caleb Blake, you got Sarah Strong, you got Joyce Edwards for that next run about. You know, it's like, I mean, literally every class right now gives you confidence of genuine motion in a star player, and at least one star player. Most of those classes having more. So I'm glad Paige kind of keeps this avatar cycle going of motion. And I'm very excited about it. But shout out to the Low Bomb for
Low Bomb, baby, the
this.
Rebecca Low Bomb.
The Rebecca Low Bomb. Look, man, we're here. We're gonna see how Paige Bueckers' college tenure ends. I mean, look, it could end next game, allegedly. You know, but look, it could, or she could keep going. You know, who knows? But we'll be here. We'll be talking about it. We're live every single night. With there's March Madness games, we are live. We'll be live. As of right now, the plan at the end of Ole Miss UCLA is when we'll go live. We'll kind of play that one by ear, how UCLA goes and everything. But be on the lookout for that tonight. But to be notified when we go live, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss it. You get a notification, you click it right down below. Across the entire description, Shawnee has boots on the ground in Birmingham, so you can find nocapspace.wbb.com. Go get your free trials, see all the paid stuff that's coming out right now. There's so much content coming. I think Shawnee had like 3-4 articles just yesterday alone, and that was before the games. So there's going to be a ton of stuff coming out. So we got you covered on the website. We got you covered here on YouTube. Be following across all social medias to make sure you don't miss a single piece of No Cap Space content, and we will see y'all next time.